G'day there, it's Dan again here at Pilates with Dan with our next tutorial in our hip and pelvis sequence. Our previous exercise was the side-eye clamps, and let's see how we can now advance that a little bit further. This exercise is the side-lie single leg abduction, abduction. It's basically the secret's in the name. You're targeting your hip abductors, so the muscles that ask the leg to move out to the side. This is a really simple exercise that can get hard really quick if you know what you're doing, and you'll see why in a minute. So the setup for this one is to lay down on your side and try and have your spine nice and straight. I always aim to have my spine up along the back edge of the mat here, resting the upper body down. If you need a cushion or pillow underneath your head, that's okay too, because all the action is happening at the hips, so that's what we're focusing on. I'd rather you be comfortable and still do the movement than not do the movement at all. Okay, so the head is relaxing down. As a general rule, I just like the head or the eyes to be looking forwards. I don't want you to overflex and have a look at what's happening at the feet, okay? The feet are going to still be there, you don't have to watch them. You're going to have the legs forward at a slight angle, and you can choose to either have your feet flexed or pointed, whatever works for you. It doesn't really impact this exercise too much, as what we're actually working here are the muscles back of the hip. We're going to try, and this is the challenge, much like the clams in our previous video, we're trying to keep that space between the bottom of the rib cage and the top of the hip nice and long. Now, the movement itself is simply the leg lifting and lowering. You can apply whatever breath pattern you need to help facilitate that. My preference in my body is to exhale to lift, inhale to lower, but whatever works for you is totally fine. Now, what we're going to try and do is lift the leg up, keeping it parallel to the other leg as high as you can without moving the pelvis, rib cage or back there, and lower back down. It's a lift and lower, and lift and lower. Notice I'm not trying to lift it all the way up towards the ceiling, because to be able to do that, I'm going to need to do a couple of things. I'm going to need to rotate the femur in the hip joint to help facilitate more movement. And quite frankly, I'm not as flexible as some, so I'll probably end up moving my back and pelvis to try and get my leg up that high. So what I am instead focusing on is just getting nice, clean movement up and down. I'm certainly feeling the work back in the back of the hip joint there, and it's certainly telling me that, hello, we're starting to move again and lift and lower. Now, an advancement on this is to do some leg circles. So you lift the leg in the air and you're going to draw little circles. The circles themselves are coming from the hip, not from the foot twisting around. The hip is rotating, and then other direction for about 10. And as all good Pilates instructors, I have lost count, and rest it all the way down. So, as you can see, really simple exercise, but quite effective in helping build up hip strength. Okay, if you get super keen with that, you can add an ankle weight, sort of a ½ kilo or 1 pound weight is usually enough to just add a bit more resistance. And I'd always recommend having a bit of a stretch afterwards with a good old pretzel stretch. Good luck.